let's get into what you tweeted out this very morning, that the All-Pro requested a trade from the organization a few months ago, according to sources. The team then agreed to listen to offer. That's how it began and why it continues. Do we know why Julio requested a trade months ago?
Yeah, I mean, this seems to me, now, first of all, obviously this is something I've sort of, I would say, thought very strongly for a couple weeks. And I got this, inclination during the draft when all of a sudden trade talk kind of popped up out of nowhere. And I never quite could confirm it. And then, Julio going public today probably helped spur this along a little bit. But, this seems to me to be somewhat similar to the Matthew Stafford situation, right? Like, Stafford had played with the Lions. He had given everything. He had some really, really good performances, played through injuries, been through some stuff, some highs and some lows, and obviously Julio probably more highs than Stafford. But it just seems to be, if the organization is, they're not rebuilding in Atlanta, but they're definitely starting new. And I'm just not sure that he wanted to be a part of something starting new again. It feels like he'd rather join the team that is already there and just kind of be the final piece to a championship. That is my sense of it. And, he's one of the greatest and has everything publicly and privately. Whatever's going on with Julio has been A+ across the board, and the Falcons are treating him like that. Which is to say he wants to trade, and they're saying, all right, we will, because we respect you, we'll see what we can do.
Well, and obviously there's no reason to do it right away. Certainly if the cap ramifications that the Falcons clearly knew was coming, even without the cap number being announced until March, that the cap ramifications of trading him after June 1 and getting him someplace new then in time for training camp is so much better for the team. I mean, the amount of money that they would save on the cap trading him after June 1 would pay for the rookies that you were reporting at the draft. They wouldn't be able to pay even before they drafted him because of the cap charge. So where does all that stand? What do you think is going on? The phone lines with Terry Fontenot, certainly now that Julio Jones has said the words publicly, albeit who knows if he knew he was saying it publicly at the time. He was saying it publicly. But what do you think is happening right now, Ian?
So basically, when rumors come out that a player could potentially be traded, teams start calling, right? And so generally we see like trade rumor, and then it's like teams are fielding calls, right? And I think with Julio, around the time of the draft, that happened. The fact that he wasn't traded before the draft is not a great sign, because that would have been a perfect opportunity for a team that needed to fill a hole. Like, trade for Julio now, know you have him. The trade is processed on June 2nd for cap reasons, and then kind of move on from there. That didn't happen. So for me, if the Falcons are going to demand a lot, and I know that they are and should, and maybe a more likely situation is if someone has some sort of training camp injury and they feel like they have to trade for Julio, maybe that is eventually what gets it done.
But I mean, the problem with trading, with just say, hey, we'll make the trade now, but we'll just process it on June 2nd is, anything can happen to Julio Jones, God forbid, between May and June, and somebody's already gotten the draft choices. I mean, that's a very difficult thing to pull off in the NFL. We do see it a lot in the NBA. So, what do you think? The cap charge is $15 million for whatever team that takes him on, according to Jeremy Fowler. Chargers, Colts, 49ers, Patriots are the teams that could just do it right now. They don't have to reconfigure anything on their cap. They could just make this deal and do it. And those are four teams that definitely fits the bill of Julio Jones wanting to be a piece to a possible championship puzzle. Do you think that's possible, Ian?
I would also say, if Julio does want out, which clearly he's interested in some level in a trade, my guess is he would probably redo his deal in a way that would make it more cap friendly for a team. We could also see what we've seen in the past, which is the Falcons would say, you know what, we have to get a first-round pick. It just has to happen. So we'll pay a little bit of the salary to make sure that it happens. Like, we've seen that too. So, looking at the teams that could do it cap-wise, I think that eliminates too many. Because I think what we found, for better or worse, is that the teams in cap trouble are a lot of times the teams that are good, who have great players who they have to pay, and they somehow make it work. Like, I don't think the Falcons would ever trade them to the Saints. Like, why would you?
Right.
But the Saints have no cap space for the next 20 years, and they probably could make it work somehow. They just always are able to, So I think if a team wants him, they'll figure out how to do it more than anything.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.